like there was a comedian who did this joke where he was like, the Christians won. He's like, the Christians won. He's like, you know, I can prove to you that they won. What year is it? He's like,
Yeah.
after who died? He's like, and anywhere in the world you go. He's like, he's like the Chinese. He's like they have their new year, but they're not going off of that calendar when it comes to paying the bills and everything. He's like, so the Christians won, and it's true. What about Christianity do you think was just so sexy that it just consumed the world?
So sexy. Um, well, um, I think what it is that, you know, in Judaism or in just most faiths, like you can't create an image of God, right? Like that's not allowed. So God is like this abstract thing, right? It's like it's an idea. Jesus very much put a name to a face to the name. You know, it's like there's like now there's a figurehead. In Judaism, there really is no figurehead, or like in Christianity, the Pope is a figurehead, and there's all these people you can turn to and being like that guy or that person or like these saints, you know, throughout like you know, oh this person they're like the epitome of what it means, and like they're the saint of this or the patron saint of that. I'm not very up to date on the saints. I'm sorry, but it started to you know it started like it basically became easier to identify with an actual human being than an abstract idea. And I think that very much helped um, it spread because now you have stories of a guy who was going around and doing all these great miracles and not this like oh this thing happened and it was the hand of god that did this thing like which is like okay maybe but like I don't know that sounds very abstract versus like you know Jesus walked on water. Jesus went to a party, they were out of wine, and he turned the water into wine, like, you know, like all that kind of. I know that's not what happened,
wasn't
but
a
like,
part. I don't think it was a
no,
party.
it wasn't a party, but like, what a party trick. Um, but like, I think part of the reason is that it put like a face to the religion, like someone people can turn to and be like, that's our guy right there.
That's a good answer. You said something else differently though than we spoke that I'm gonna say, and I think
Okay.
that actually what because I'm actually happy that you mentioned what you did because I think that that's a good addition. But like one of the things that you said that like really stuck in my head was that there wasn't at the time when Jesus was around, there wasn't really a message that was put forth towards people who were poor, who were
Mm,
in very, unideal situations, saying like, hey, God's got your back, like you will be blessed. And that was very potent and that was very um it was very attractive to those people because before there was more of a priority put forth onto the people who were already in a prosperous situation and like the people who had more of the means of control of messaging, and then you have this dude telling all these people who probably outnumbered the people who were like well off, and like you're giving them all this hope that they never had, and that hope was infectious. And I feel like
yes.
like you said, like during our conversation, I think that because of that hope being so infectious, it like not only became attractive to the people that he was speaking to, but it became attractive to the people in power because they saw how influential it was and how impactful it was, and they're like, wow, like this is some sexy shit. I need to get on this. Like it was like GameStop stock or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Jesus bets. Slash slash r slash Jesus bets. Um, yeah, no. So yes, he was one of the first person going out and being like, it's like being poor is pious, right? And you'll don't worry, like when you'll get yours in the end, like God will reward you, and like this idea that like like you're suffering now, but there will be reward in like, you know, the afterlife. And like, yes, that was like if you're a poor farmer and you're busting ass every day and like your life sucks and like you know the ruling class is just like getting away with whatever this idea that there's oh wait god actually cares like I'm living a godly life you know like that kind of resonates with people and like with people in power they're like awesome these people love being poor because they think god is like all about it so you know and like ultimately what we're talking about is perversions of christianity not actual christianity
Right,
you
right,
know
right.
it's like I just want to clear that up because you know I think religion you know what is it? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, but no one wants to see yours, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think the same thing goes with like religion. Like everyone has their own belief system and their own belief system and structure, but like no one want like I don't want to know about yours. Like I'm good, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I mean it made being poor was a good thing almost, and that was like gave a lot of people hope, but also like you talked about gave the ruling class a way to control the population.
Yeah. And I think that, like, taking the religious cap off for a second, I think
Hmm.
that, in general, regardless of what religion you're speaking of, I think that in general, I don't want to generalize, but I think in general, every religion has a bit of a balance of positive and negative, hope, and a bit of doom and gloom. And I think, if I'm just like putting like what I believe and everything like to the side, I like, when you look at that, like what we're talking about right now, and just like the the thought and the concept of going to, like, having this idea for the poor person, the person who has no hope, that there is this possibility that once they die, they're going to go to this amazing paradise, and that things are going to be great. Like, if we're thinking about it and we're thinking, okay, more likely than not, it's probably the shoal, and like the shoal is it, and like you're dead, and like you're in a deep sleep, and like you basically just cease to exist, and that's it. Like let's just hypothesize that that's really what happens. Like you're just dead, you're done, you're gone, you cease to exist, that's it. You're basically asleep forever. Okay, so if we establish that, if we all agree on that, and then you think, okay, well, there's all these people who are in predicaments that there's no way, shape, or form is going to get better. Like Timmy is going to be working like in the fucking factory, making coal until he dies out at 13, and that's just a fact. And it's like, you think about like these people, you think about, and like it's any religion, not even just Christianity, you think about these people who are in situations where there is no hope, there is no possibility whatsoever for them to get out of whatever adversity is that they have. It's almost kind of poetic and beautiful to at least give them that sense of hope, give them that illusion, or you can call it illusion, whatever you want to call it, that there is this great thing that's to come, and that almost makes it so that even though their life, like, without it would have had no meaning, now it kind of has something, because now they have something to look forward to. Kind of like, I don't know, like if like you have to put down your dog, and it's like you give them these treats, and you give them all these things, and get them excited, and make them have like all these endorphins and happiness and everything, and then boom, they're gone. But at least, like, in the process of that happening, and even though like it ended up being a bit grim, there was some happiness and positivity prior.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's just it comes back to this idea that like not everyone's life is great, and sometimes people need to like know that there's something more to this, right? When your life's not great. But I think what's interesting about Judaism is that part of Judaism is this idea that like humans have the ability to change the world, and they have a responsibility to do so, right? So it's like it's not enough to just be um, like if someone's suffering, like you have to try and alleviate their suffering. There's this idea called tikkun olam, to repair the world, and you're not obligated to fix the whole world, but not you are obligated to like try, and you can't ignore it, right? And that's why like when it comes to either like social reform or social justice, or just the idea of justice in general, it's just like you can't, if you're sitting on the sidelines just letting people suffering and doing wrong, like it's not allowed. And then also goes for your own life, right? Like it's not just like doing for others, but like what responsibility do you have for yourself to like improve your own situation in any way you can? And like going back to Judaism being like a lifestyle religion, just offers you abilities to do that. Like we talk, like right now, what's the biggest trend in like mental health? Mindfulness, and like being very mindful and thankful for like the things that are going right in your life. In Judaism, there are blessings for everything. You're supposed to say a blessing when you see a rainbow. You're supposed to say a blessing when, I mean, for every meal, you're supposed to say a blessing on the bread and the wine, or vegetable, like whatever you eat. You're supposed to say blessings on every time for certain holidays, we say a blessing on the first night of the holiday, thanking God for allowing us to reach this point in the year again. And like, you know, it's like that's mindfulness, right? That's just like acknowledging that, like, oh, like, wow, a rainbow, like, what a beautiful thing. Like, I'm gonna say this little blessing, and it's just me acknowledging that, like, I'm so lucky to see this rainbow, or like,